I think we're good. Okay, welcome everyone to the Board of Health meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. In attendance is myself, Chairman Robert Stevens, Member Michelle Kennedy, Health Agent Delshawn Flip, as well as some other notable people. This meeting is being recorded and I think broadcasted as well on YouTube by WRPS Rockland. First up on the agenda today is trash abatements for November. Has everyone had a chance to look at the November trash abatements? Awesome. Is there any questions?
None.
Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept, Jocelyn, did you have anything in regards to November's trash abatements?
Nope, I submitted them as is.
Okay, yeah, me neither. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the November trash abatement.
Motion to accept.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Next up on the agenda is meeting minutes.
Yeah,
So we can't approve that without my mom, without Vice Chair Gallant, right?
without your mother being here, correct, yes.
Okay.
So August, you want a table?
Yeah, well, yeah. Actually, I'll table both of them until she's here. Then. I'll table both of them until then. So then next, do you guys want to take any of the new business out of order until? Are we waiting? We're not waiting on anybody, right?
Well, we are waiting
Okay.
for Cheryl Sabara
Okay. All right.
to join. I think she's gonna try to join in remotely.
Okay. Okay. Well, then and then amendments to. Is that also her?
No, that's not her. We could move on to that for now if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. We can do that.
So I had reached out to town council. There's a few discrepancies on with the contract with Allstate as far as the holiday schedule. So town council drafted this up and it's just adding the holidays into the contract with specifically language adding Veterans Day. And then I'll take this. So we had a small little hiccup on Veterans Day. Allstate being brand new, was not aware that we observe Veterans Day as a trash holiday. And they started going out on the streets and picking up trash. And a resident had gone on Facebook and said, the Board of Health has it wrong, everybody put out your trash, when he was wrong. So it just kind of created a big thing for a good 3 hours on Monday. And Allstate finally left and they went back on Tuesday and redid the route all over again. So this is just.
So it didn't say Veterans Day in your contract?
It didn't say any holidays in the contract.
Okay.
It listed examples in the definition, but in the definition, it just says examples of holidays, and it lists like 5, and Veterans Day was not one of them. So, but in the body of the contract, Attorney Kenny drafted it up as an amendment to the contract, adding that holiday.
It was just kind of clarifying the holidays. It kind of said the examples, but it wasn't set in stone. So it's just saying, hey, these are the holidays, and that way everybody knows.
Monday happens to be my trash day too, so.
I was gonna say, I would have known either way.
Yeah, and it does reference the holidays, like Dolly said in the contract, but there wasn't I think in the previous contract, it was more specificity to it, so we just, it was, it's a pretty basic amendment, just saying, hey,
Yeah.
these are the
Okay, that's
holidays,
the
and
holiday.
the definition, that's it.
Okay, yeah, so then, I mean, I guess I'll entertain a motion to accept the amendment to the all-state contract.
Motion to accept the amendment.
Second, all in favor? Okay, I could also do, I haven't, next up on the agenda would have been an adoption of a public notice. It was mimicked when I saw at the library, and I thought it'd be a good idea to,
Sorry, I just wanna grab that.
oh, sorry
So
about
you'll
that.
take it.
And I should probably sign it too, huh? Is that it?
Thank you very much.
So there was one of the, one I saw at the library as well as, I had a question. Did we have, another, testing of our water in October? Back in October, do you happen to know? The PFAS testing?
I get a lot of emails from the state regarding the PFAS, but and I have had conversations with the water commissioners and the water superintendent, and we all felt it's best that if you have any questions about the water, direct it right to them, the water department, because I wouldn't expect them to answer trash questions. So I do not feel comfortable. I have absolutely zero background in PFAS. I've been to many seminars, but
Okay.
I'm not an expert and I
I
wouldn't.
think it was quarters 2 and 3 of this year, we failed and our levels were too high, so, I mean, like I said, there were 2 different ones. I had one that I saw at the library that I wanted to adopt, and one in regards to PFAS, but with Vice Chair Gallant not here, and, I mean, like you said, it's probably better to invite them to a meeting.
Or ask, or you can invite.
So I'm a little
we-
confused, what is it that you're trying to adopt, something to that happens to be for the water department? Cause I know I asked you for this on the email, but you
Yeah,
never
I didn't
responded.
Well, I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I just answered you back, I didn't finish it, did I not?
But if it has to do with water, I don't think it has anything to do with us.
Well, I mean, if we're above the PFAS limit,
I think
then
that
that's
the
something
water
that we should
department,
definitely adopt. I mean, yeah, I think there was already something in regards to when we failed it on the second and third quarter. But
Yeah.
I'm saying the second testing was set for October of this year. So depending on whether there was, depending on, whether we were again above the limit, I would want to, adopt something, at least let the people in town know, because
They
I mean,
do know,
that's-
they send us stuff
the
on.
water
The water
department,
department sends us postcards.
and the water department sends out information all the time to Rockland residents, every month. I'm always getting some kind of pamphlet
Yeah, it's a
or
pamphlet or
whatever,
a little postcard.
like a memo, and it comes from also the state, DEP, I believe, is involved, right?
Yep. So there's 2
so
other ones I
There's,
also had in mind, but I didn't finish them.
Yeah.
And so
so
I guess I'll just
anytime,
bring them up
yeah,
for.
I would revert to town council if we're going to adopt anything outside of what the water department is providing information for. So I would automatically ask town council's opinion on that.
Okay, and does everything have to be sent through the town manager? All of our requests for determinations on that,
On what?
on any questions?
Town manager?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
because I saw on the website that if we have any questions, we have to direct it through
Well,
town manager.
I would,
How would we reach out to because I think I already, was
We have
it
a
on
town-
the email chain?
town administrator?
Yeah, town.
So right now,
administrator.
Doug is out right now, and Courtney, the assistant town administrator, is available if you have questions like that.
So we can't just get their contact information?
What contact information?
a pager, an email,
For
and a phone
who though?
number.
I'm sorry, I'm not,
Town council?
town council is right here.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and you were on the,
Yeah, he
He was on
emailed you
email?
today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
and I'm not sure what email chain you guys are talking about.
So the
but
email, when, did you said,
I think I was just, on the one, Courtney had sent, just, I
Yeah,
think,
and
sent out some
CC you
open
guys.
meeting law
Yeah,
information.
that was the first time I ever got, because when I had questions back on, rules and procedures, when we didn't have rules and procedures on record with the town clerk, I sent in a, request for determination, but it had to, I guess, on the website, it said it has to go through town manager. So I sent it through town manager, but then the town manager basically sent me, so that's what I'm asking is, all my communications have to go through the town manager with you, or can I just reach out on email?
Yeah, I think we can check in with Courtney and Doug and see how they wanna handle it, but yeah, I think you can check with them, just say, hey, I just have this issue.
Or CC them on it or something?
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
can just,
Because-
bring it up with them and then they usually can say, yeah,
Well, I was just gonna say, cause I was intending for like you guys to email me back or something, like I just send it through Doug and then you guys would email me back, but then I got like him channeling a message back and I'm just like, I just expected like an email or a phone number
Yeah.
or something like that, but
I can
I
give you
saw-
my, after the meeting, I can give you my
Okay.
information. I mean, I think we emailed today.
yeah, so I have the email
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure, okay.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
just on this topic, I think you maybe brought up a good point of, maybe you could pass it over and maybe invite a member of the water department.
Yeah, for sure.
Representative to come to the meeting and, they would probably have a lot of information on that.
Yeah, she was actually just here, what,
she goes to
3
the
months ago,
selectmen.
maybe?
Yeah.
They have like quarterly check-ins and if Laurie, chairman.
Oh, perfect.
I
I
mean-
mean, well, if you want the latest update, any latest update on the water department, you can go to the Abington Rockland Joint Waterworks website. And they have photos of where they are in the building process. They're getting GAC filters, granulated activated carbon filters, that we got grants for, as well as the funding source of the $26 million loan that Abington and Rockland is sharing. So it takes 4 GAC filters and I forgot how many, I think 2 or 3 resin filters, which is a finishing filter, to bring PFAS down to 0. And they expect that that's gonna be completed at the Hingham Street plant, by summer of 2025. So that's the latest.
Oh, that's a major update, thank
It is
you.
a major update. So, but you can always go to Abington Rockland Joint Waterworks or call Crystal if you have any questions on that.
Well, I'm used to the Facebook, but I didn't get anything from that, but yeah, I mean, and I would also like to invite them to, a meeting like especially if, maybe to give the Board of Health an update on it.
Yep. Also on the town website, there's, Doug did a, Doug did
Great, yeah, right when you open up the town's website,
yeah,
it's a big thing.
Yes, a TA Q&A, so he does an actual video interview with
Okay,
several different people, but Crystal's one of them, so.
the only one I've seen was,
Fire chief,
the fire chief one,
Mhm.
yeah,
that's the
when-
most recent,
yeah.
so, anyway, that's all I got.
Okay, and then I think, revisions to rules and procedures, I wanted to get some, I mean, I literally took the bare bones when I looked at, the, handbook, the boards and committees handbook that is up in the, town clerk's office. And I basically just copy and pasted those, into the revisions, into our, initial rules and procedures that we adopted back in, September, I think. And I wanted to get that on the record so that we had something and that we weren't in violation of, I don't even remember what part of the chart it was, but I noticed that some boards did and we didn't. But there was also things I wanted to add that I also didn't get to finish, but at the time, it was kind of like, I noticed I also didn't send it. And that it was like, I just had it there that day, so, board member Kennedy didn't have a chance to really digest it too much. So I wanted to see if there was anything that revisions or additions or subtractions or multiplications or anything that you wanted
Not at
to
this time, no.
make. Okay. Okay, and if at any time you wanted to add something like that, or anybody wanted to add an idea to add something, they can always reach out. We can put it on for a future meeting. I intend to again. I just wanted to give these first two opportunities to anybody else. I intended to have my own ready, but I haven't finished them yet. So, but I will have them finished for hopefully if we have a December meeting. Which happens.
So the rules and procedures that he's talking about, I don't have them. I know that the board voted in the September meeting, like he said. I believe Michelle abstained, but you kept the hard copy. You never provided me with the original. You said you wanted to keep the original, so I have. I don't have these.
You don't have a digital copy either?
I have a digital copy,
Yeah, I
yes.
sent you a digital copy.
Yes, but I don't have the signed copy. And also.
Yeah, we haven't, I don't think the board actually placed it on file yet.
No.
Well, after they approved it.
Yeah, that's just a concern that they didn't get accepted or look through town council,
What do you mean?
the rules and procedures. Like
I literally reached out to them through town manager. Well, that's what we were just talking about,
Yeah.
because I reached out through the town manager about it.
Yeah.
I never heard anything
Yeah,
back.
if you wanna forward it to me and we can.
Well, I actually, I don't know if I have the email with Doug. It was a request for determination on the rules and procedures.
Yeah.
Send it to town council. It was literally and then you asked me who typed it up for me, and I said I did it myself. And then and then I never heard.
yeah, because I
I
never.
heard back from Doug from them through Doug.
So yeah.
So I did
wanna,
reach out.
yeah, I mean, feel free to forward it
Yeah.
to me and I can absolutely take a
Yeah,
look.
no, she likes to.
No, I'm just saying I never
Well,
got a
no, that's-
copy. I don't.
No, that's all right.
I wasn't aware,
What-
Robert, that you reached out to town administrator. I didn't know that.
You were Deltron, you were CC'd in the email, and then you asked me who typed up that request for
Well-
determination, and I said I typed it up myself.
I think problem can be easily solved.
Yeah.
I can take a
Yeah.
look, I think,
Yeah.
send them me, I'll take a look and,
And now I have-
maybe you guys can, put it on, I'll let you know my comments, if any.
Okay.
And then you guys can put it on the meeting.
For sure.
That kind of
Yeah.
resolve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying is I wanted this, because I had an opportunity, I put it on the agenda last month, but board member Kennedy wasn't able to attend, so that's why I was like, and then with you guys here, coming for, oh, well, that was Cheryl. But with you guys here, I was like, well, then we can put it on for November. So yeah, I'll definitely put on for, but I did reach out.
I didn't know. Okay, perfect.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mhm.
And so for that's, what about, okay, so are we going back to,
Yeah, it
is
doesn't
Cheryl-
look like Cheryl's gonna make it.
what
I'll
about,
text her, see how far, she said.
She
What about
should be
Mike?
there- she should be there in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
oh, okay, all right,
Perfect.
all right.
Mike, do you have anything?
I don't really, especially on the tobacco, that's really Cheryl, but, no, I understand from this.
Oh, you, on
Sorry.
mute.
I understand from this conversation that you're working on some regulations and, if there's ever anything that we can do to help you draft good regulations before you submit them to council, and we're happy to go through them, give them a once over, and then get your council involved at that.
Yeah,
point.
because I had, when I saw the planning boards, after, how there's specific state law, it's in state law, but when somebody gets their house condemned, they have that appeal, that's what we were going through in August. So that, it's basically they basically reiterate everything in state law. I noticed the planning boards, when they hold their hearings, so I don't know what would trigger one of their hearings, but in the event that, there's something in state law that, allows you to have a planning or conservation commission, meaning if something, abuts your property or something, then that's like, I noticed that they would put it in their rules and procedures as like, they were just, I mean, it's already in state law, but they would kind of reiterate it and have it all condensed into one thing, as well as like rules for the specific hearings themselves, which, I mean, when I sent a public records request to the town clerk, we didn't have any of that. So I was like, well, so I asked for other boards, and then the first board I asked for, or when I typed it in, the first board came up was zoning board of appeals was one, and then I think the planning board was the other one. So I noticed that like, they just basically reiterate what scenarios a hearing would happen, as well as like, you know, that person's rights and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, I haven't finished them, but that'd be great if I could. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. I will definitely take you up on that and reach out to get a once over. That sounds like a good deal. But yeah, I mean, that's all I had on that really. So,
Yeah,
I guess we just-
Mike's a good guy to reach out to. He works with all the boards of health throughout the state.
I'm gonna give Cheryl a quick call and see. I'll check her progress, bring it back with you.
Thanks, Mike.
In the meantime, do we want to schedule a meeting for January?
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't wanna do a October, we would have to vote,
October,
yeah,
no, December.
excuse me. Yeah, you guys don't wanna do a December one?
Well, it's obviously up to the board.
I mean, 'cause it would just be
The only issue is me.
You wouldn't be able to make it.
I won't be able to make any Tuesday nights in December. The holidays, there's just a lot going on. And I have a training that I have to do that's required by DLS. What is it? Is it Division of Local Services, DLS? So it's mandatory that I get these done. So it's a lot of hours of train hours that I just can't do those training and prepare for meetings and get everything ready. It's a very busy time. Keep in mind that renewals are gonna be coming in for food inspections. And then just also keep in mind that we need 2 signatures for these permits, and it's very important that you guys just show up. Come anytime. There's gonna be something for you to sign. Between tobacco, animal, and food, it's overwhelming for the office. So it's really hard for me to commit to a meeting in June. I mean, in December.
All right, well, I mean, if we don't meet for more than I think we just would have to vote, me and Michelle would have to vote in favor to not.
Well, we can ask town council or Mike Hugo.
Yeah.
Is it really a bad thing if we miss December's meeting?
I'm sorry, I just was talking to Cheryl. She's in the building on her way in. If you miss a meeting, it's.
Well, no, I think this is part of the charter that says that if we don't meet,
I'm not saying,
oh, okay. Well, I think there is. I forget I don't know exactly which part it is, but if we don't meet for more than 4 weeks, then we have to vote by 2/3 majority, right?
I'd have to check. I don't even.
For consecutive weeks or for weeks per year?
No, if we have to meet monthly, and if we don't, then we have to vote by 2/3 majority.
I will tell you,
Not-
there are a lot
Well,
of
just because we
boards-
might not get caught
I'm not,
doesn't mean
No,
that
I'm
it's
just
not in
saying,
there, you know what I
like-
mean?
maybe Cheryl
Hi,
would be
Cheryl.
able to, oh, is it like Where's Waldo?
It was bumper to bumper, it took 2.5 hours.
Oh my
gosh.
Oh my
I
God,
told
I
you.
shouldn't complain.
It's in.
I know that a lot of boards don't meet monthly. Board of Health because there's not really a lot going on, but that's just my past practice. But
My phone's about to die, but if you go on, if you go into the charter and you type it in, oh,
yeah,
Maybe share window.
So what is the question?
Still questioning about
typically in
meeting in
December,
December.
we don't have a meeting in December. And Chairman Stevens, you want to explain to Cheryl?
yeah, I don't know what section it is, I don't have it off the top of my head, but there's a part of the charter that says, I don't know how enforced it is or how much people listen to it, or how taboo it would be to follow it, but, I mean, it's there, that says we have to meet monthly, and if we don't, it has to be by a 2/3 majority, and the max that we don't meet would have to be 8 weeks.
8 or 4?
Even if we were to vote, to skip
December.
December, it said that we could only go 8 weeks from today before we have to hold a new one.
We
So
would have plenty.
that's a charter thing for you guys, and you have council right there, but there are actually boards in the Commonwealth that we're aware of that meet quarterly. So I mean, but you're talking about something in your charter. So.
In the town, not state law, I'm talking about town charters specifically for our town.
Then that's town council's question.
Well, I'll defer to town council, who is probably feverishly looking it up right now as we speak.
I don't see it, but.
Well, if you do Control F or find on page,
Yeah, I'm pulling it all up, but. Yeah, I don't see.
What
the
time is it?
restriction,
what
but-
time is the town clerk's office open till? I mean, it's in there.
Just when I punch it in on the search, it's just not, I mean, I'm pulling up the Board of Health in the charter, but it's just not, I'm not seeing that paragraph.
Or, I mean, it would be monthly, each book, if you type in monthly as a keyword.
It's just, I'm not, nothing.
Really? Nothing pops up?
Yeah.
Or 2/3?
Mhm.
Cause it's in there. I read it.
Did you happen to bring a copy?
I didn't know we were gonna not schedule a December one.
I'm a Wikipedia person,
I thought-
can you tell?
I know,
I go
So
over the top.
2/3 is under town clerk, is that where you were looking under?
No.
Because the Board of Health is different.
Well, it wouldn't be under the board, it would be under boards and committees, I think.
Yeah, 2/3 is town clerk.
Do you mind if I look at where you're searching?
It's just 2/3 there.
So if you were to click on the tab, and then you were to click, so you weren't typing in the search bar?
It's up here. Yeah, no, I was.
Okay. Well, then it would be, yeah,
Well, I'll keep-
committees.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's on there. If we have to meet monthly, if we don't, then we have to vote by 2/3 majority, so I wouldn't be,
Yeah, I see it. It's
Yeah.
in the code 2.01.
thank God.
2.01. It says each elected and appointed town board commission, blah, 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 shall meet
Right.
often once a month unless otherwise provided by the general laws.
Yeah.
I can't find it either.
Why would you?
Sorry, you guys aren't recognized. I think Mike's talking. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead, sorry.
It says, each elected and appointed town board, commission, and committee shall meet not less often than once a month unless otherwise provided by general law, at such times and places as may be specified by the presiding officer. A board, commission, or committee, however, by a 2/3 vote of its members, elect not to meet at all for a period of time not to exceed 8 consecutive weeks.
That's correct.
Emergency meetings may blah, blah, blah. So it's C-2.01
J.
J.
Yeah, J.
Yeah. So I
But
mean, it's there.
we wouldn't be really, if we had the meeting on the 14th, we would be fine.
It would be within the 14th of January.
Yeah, we'd be
But
fine.
but we shall not meet no less than 1 month. If we do,
Okay,
we can extend it, but it can only, we're only allowed to give ourselves a little extension for 8 consecutive weeks. Then we would have to meet again. So it would have to be, and it wasn't on the agenda today to vote by 2/3 majority. So we would have to essentially, I mean, I don't think we have to set a meeting, but we wouldn't be able, I wouldn't be able to commit to not hold to just violate the charter and not hold a December meeting, you know what I mean? So, I mean, unless we vote for it, but what would be ironic is we would have to literally put it on another agenda, have another agenda and put it on there as an agenda item to not meet, and then we would just literally be having a whole nother meeting. So, I mean, if that was something that I just intended to meet monthly and follow the charter. If that was something that someone else had in mind, I wish it would have been brought up and I could have put it on the agenda.
so it was brought up in the September meeting. Would you
I
take,
mentioned, I thought you
Did you
mentioned
read
you
it?
weren't able to come to that meeting.
you have to go back because we talked about it several times. And now, since September, you are the chairman. So if that was an agenda item, I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it because
But you're the one that's saying that you would prefer not to meet. because you
I
wouldn't be
said
able
you
to meet.
can meet.
Right, Dalshawn doesn't have to be at our meeting.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah.
I know, but you were saying you couldn't commit to a meeting, so I'm saying if we're not going to hold a December meeting, I mean, it would be just to follow the charter, to open and close over Zoom. Because the executive order, the governor extended virtual meetings until March. So we can open and close on Zoom. In fact, we tabled the minutes, so we can do minutes and it can be a quick meeting, but I would not be comfortable skipping December per the charter. That's what I'll say. So I'll start to look at, I don't think we have any dates right now to look at for the board, but I mean, is there any particular days in December that?
I mean, I would say the first maybe 2 weeks, but nothing after that.
First 2 weeks of
Yeah,
December?
I'm busy as well. I have 3 kids and, you know, it's Christmas
Alright.
shopping and Christmas parties for my own
So-
work, so.
We could do a total Zoom virtual meeting as well, if that would be even better. I mean, instead of coming here or upstairs or whatever, it'd probably be better, because if we're allowed to, we have this until March, it's kind of something that we won't have after that, and if it's appropriate, then we could set like a virtual meeting for the first 2 weeks of December at some point.
My only concern with that is how are you going to sign the stuff that you approved? Are you gonna come into the office to sign it?
Yeah, but that's not, that's nothing.
They give them time to get packets ready.
I'm not having any packets ready. We're doing a Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And then in and out. But
In
I'm
and
saying
out,
if
and
you're
the
going
only thing
to
that would-
approve the minutes, you're going to come into the office to sign them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright.
Okay, well then, I mean,
And also, I'm on vacation, so I can't do
That's
minutes
fine.
in the beginning of December.
that's okay. I can type, I think I did I've only done one. I think I did the executive, because I had to do the executive session one, I think. Yeah, so I'm somewhat capable to I'll be all right. But, yeah, I'm just making sure we follow that part of the charter. And that, we're in compliance, which is my biggest concern.
Now, in the charter, I guess I never really like looked at it, but something that I should go look at because it's important.
Well, it's our governing document. It's like
Yeah,
like every state has like a state constitution, right? Every town has, every small business or small town have a charter, right?
Not every town has a charter, most have charters, but we represent other towns that don't have charters.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, the whole bylaws, but they don't necessarily, a town doesn't have to have a charter.
Oh, so then what would they have?
It goes
Just
by
bylaws.
bylaws and state law.
Oh, okay. But it is, our charters are a governing document for the town?
Yeah, charters and bylaws. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Definitely something to read. Well, does anybody else, oh yeah,
Yep, so
We have
Cheryl
Cheryl.
just got here. Cheryl Sabaro, Executive Director and Staff Attorney at MHUB regarding tobacco discussions. Yeah, come on.
You want me to go?
Yeah, come on.
Again, I apologize for being late.
I'm just glad that we have you two.
Yes.
Oh, sure. So what is it, why don't you,
Well, you had some questions about the regulations, so that's why I brought Cheryl down.
yeah, well, at the last meeting when we were talking about, I think it was the mandatory second offenses in other municipalities. I asked, Kathleen what she's seen in other municipalities for, mandatory, suspensions for second offenses. Here in Rockland, we did, I guess it's 3 days for the second offense, but I had asked her what she's seen in other towns, and she said between 7 and even 10 days she's seen in other towns, and I was thinking, well, you know, if we don't go to the full 7 or 10 or whatever, if we were to go up from 3 to, I don't know, potentially 5 or something, so that was something that she said that, you know, there's other parts of it that, she would like to see or updated, I guess. So
I'd
I
like
was
to
like,
get some of the regulations need to be updated, and for the second offense, it is 3 consecutive days here currently. As I said in the meeting last time, each town decides what number they want to. It
Right.
could be 1, it could be 7, it could be more. It's up to each individual town what they wanna do.
we just can't go past 30, right?
But why don't I just give you, I didn't bring the state regulation, but you can't be less, do you have the state regulation? Okay.
Less strict.
So you cannot be less strict than the state. You can be more strict, but not less strict. So the fines and penalties for a first offense, within 36 months, is a minimum of $1,000 fine. There is no suspension period for a first offense unless the violation is selling to someone under 21.
Okay.
And if a retailer sells to someone under 21 for the first time, the state law requires a mandatory suspension from 1 to 30 days or more if there is a local regulation that requires that.
Which is what? we-
So, what most municipalities have done is to assign a certain amount of days for selling to someone under 21 because there is a mandatory suspension. And I have seen it range from 1 day to 3 days. It's normally not more than 3 days.
For the first?
For the first, and that's only for selling to someone under 21. It's not for a flavor product violation. It's not for a flavored enhancer violation. It's only for, the mandatory suspension is only for that, selling to someone under 21 for a first time.
Yeah.
And the legislature was crystal clear that that's what they wanted to do. For every other offense, including selling to someone under 21. Well, I'll go back. For every other offense except selling to someone under 21,
Mhm.
A first offense within 36 months is a minimum fine of $1,000. Okay, no suspension, just a minimum fine of $1,000. Second offense within 36 months. And this is for all, selling to someone under 21 or any other offense. The fine is $2,000. And the way the state law reads is, in the case of a second violation, a fine of $2,000 and a suspension may be imposed for 1 day up until 7 days, or for a longer period of time if the local Board of Health has a regulation that requires it. Most cities and towns have used 7 days as it doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't even mean you have to issue a suspension unless your local regulation says there shall be a suspension. Most boards like that language because it doesn't afford them the discretion that frequently gets boards in trouble. If you do one thing for one retailer and something for someone else, you're put in a situation where you can be accused of selective enforcement. So for the third offense within, or at fourth, fifth, sixth, for third or more offenses for all violations within a 36-month period, it's $5,000 fine. And the Board of Health may suspend the permit. I don't think this one goes over. May suspend the permit for 7 to 30 business days unless the local regulation says more. And what most boards do is 30. So the progression is 3, 7, 30 in most cases. You're not bound by that, but that's what the standard operating procedure is for fining.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just feel like obviously we wouldn't be able to adopt anything today, but in going forward, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like 3 days for a second offense, I mean, not a lifetime, but we're talking within 3 years. I mean,
36 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, if, unless the board, I don't know, and that was just a conversation that I wanted to bring up. Oh, as well as, I wanted to, and I didn't expect Mike to be here either, but I'm glad both of you guys are here. So I wanted to see, I know that during COVID in 2020, I think, I don't know if it was Northampton or who did it, but it was a municipality in Massachusetts that developed a generational tobacco ban.
The nicotine-free generation.
Yeah.
It was Brookline.
Yeah, well, Brookline, yeah.
2020.
And then, I guess just this year, I think the state Supreme Court let it go through.
Correct.
And so,
They said the board had the legal authority
yeah.
to enact that.
So how I first heard about it was some person in the UK, something like that. They wanted to, it was like, they said they wanted to put it part of their party platform or whatever. So I was looking at that. And then I'm like, well, I wonder if I can do it here in Massachusetts, if that would be something like, to finally get the grips of that off of a whole generation. I was wondering if that's something that we could do. And so I started researching it, but then that came up that I guess it was Brooklyn had already done it. And when I took, it was still like in the court when I was first looking at it, I think last year, but as the court just ruled this year that they could do it, that's also something like one I wanted to, maybe take a look at, and two, if as someone who's in a board might want to take a look at that, is there anything that you guys, would have to contribute or would
We
just
have,
give us
we actually just did a presentation on this at the most recent Mass Health Officers Association meeting, conference in Springfield. Yes, this is a strategy. It's a birth date strategy. it will take a very long time for results for it to actually be evaluated. It's a very slow, steady process where when the regulation is enacted, anyone who is already 21 on its effective date can buy tobacco products. Anyone who is not cannot buy tobacco products. So you determine it by a date. And what the 7 or 8 other municipalities that have passed this have used as the effective date is January 1 of 2004, because that means they would have been anyone over 21, right? So it's a cutoff date.
But
So
don't
you
we have
can't
that
do
right now?
somebody,
No,
No. It won't.
you can't sell to someone under 21, but this would mean that any person that is under 21 today, if the effective date was today, could not buy cigarettes at any point
Ever.
in that town, ever.
Yeah.
So it's a slow way of eliminating tobacco products.
but they could still grow their own tobacco at home.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, this is a question of whether you can sell tobacco products.
Right.
This isn't a possession
Right, exactly.
law. It's
exactly.
a sales law, not a possession.
Right, right.
So it doesn't affect any of that.
So the January 1st, 2000 wouldn't be allowed, so.
No, if that would
Really?
be, but Brookline's always passed in 2020.
Oh, right.
So that's why.
That's why, 'cause they
That's
don't
why
cover
they
it.
have that date. So the best way to look at it is, I've got 2 grandkids, 4 and 6. They will never be able to buy tobacco products in their town because they passed it, or in my town because it's been passed. There are pros and cons of this regulation. This regulation really only affects young people. Okay, it does nothing for the adult smoker. So it ignores the adult smoker, quite frankly. So anyone who is 21 or over won't get any benefit from this policy. What we like to see, if a town is considering this policy, we would like to assure that they have every comprehensive strategy, tobacco control strategy, already enacted in their town. And they have a really good support system for cessation in the town, so that we're not ignoring everyone that is over the age of 21, especially our elders who want to quit, but have struggled quitting. So we want to have, can't sell to anyone 21, we have that. Flavored tobacco products, we have that. Massachusetts has very strong tobacco control laws when you look across the country. Our laws are very strict. You also want to look at density requirements. Have you restricted the number of tobacco sales permits in your municipality? Because those things do affect every smoker. As my husband, who is a smoker, says, the fewer times I can smoke, the better off it is. So, our smoke-free workplace policies, a lot of the policies that we have are comprehensive. So we would suggest that this, and when I say we, I mean the TA providers. I'm not saying what the Department of Public Health or what this board thinks, but what we think is that look at the policies that you have currently. If they need to be updated or tweaked, let's look at that first. And look at the nicotine-free generation as another policy that you can add. And again, it's a slow policy.
Cheryl, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just got a 911 call, so I have to leave.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good luck. So that's the nicotine-free generation. There is a lot of interest in it all over the state right now. Melrose, Stoneham, Reading, Winchester have passed it. And Chelsea's actually discussing it tonight.
Oh, okay.
And there are Northampton is discussing it. They're holding workshops on it right now. And there are other municipalities that are seriously looking at it. Another policy that is in consideration is either limiting or banning the Zyn-like products, the
Yeah.
oral nicotine products,
Oh my God.
which are not regulated. They have orders of magnitude greater amounts of nicotine in them than a pack of cigarettes. And they are used by a lot of young people.
All my friends.
And they are the industry's priority right now.
Yeah.
That's what they are marketing and pushing and
They had a
calling it a
shortage.
harm reduction.
And they had a shortage.
Oh, there was a shortage everywhere of Zyn,
Because of
because
how
you
many
can't-
people.
you can't keep them on the shelves.
Exactly.
Because they're
Exactly.
very cheap, there's
Yeah.
no excise tax
Right.
on them. And you can buy them for $4
Yeah.
a can.
Yeah.
And they're just very, very popular. So those are some of the strategies that we're looking
Is
at.
Northampton looking for that to put the Zyn in adult only?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So put it into adult only retail tobacco store.
So that the adults that want to use them can
Can get
still use them, but kids aren't.
Right.
Anyone under 21 is not by law allowed to
Even in the
enter
store.
adult-only tobacco retail establishment.
What other regulations?
Well,
consider?
we are in the process of updating ours. We have our
Okay.
last meeting on Friday. But there are several. One would be no permit renewal if there are outstanding fines.
Yep.
When their permit comes up annually. They should be compliant with whatever fines they've been issued. You want to make sure that they paid them. No permit renewal if there have been 3 or more sales to someone under 21 within a year, say. And then there's the nicotine-free generation, which is something. Then there's also considering capping or reducing the number of permits. That's not in the state law. That would be a local regulation. Banning smoking bars. I don't know if there are any smoking bars in Rockland. Looking at minimum cigar packaging and pricing, because the inexpensive, the cheap sweeties to get cigars are the ones that kids like. They're not smoking
Sweet
their
Mild.
grandfather's old
Oh,
cigars.
no, it's like the Sweet Mild. And
Yeah,
the-
those,
Yeah.
those, requiring that a single one be $2.50 or $2.90.
$2.90, $5.80.
Yeah, and a pack be $5.80 or whatever the math is. Banning blunt wraps.
Yep.
That is another policy.
Yep.
Well, this is a controversial policy.
I'm just kidding.
It was done in Boston. It's been upheld as a legal policy.
Front
Whether you
row.
want to do it or not is something. There are, it's interesting with this one because blunt wraps, before cannabis became legal in Massachusetts, these products were marketed as these are to be used only for tobacco. And once cannabis became legal, then the marketing are these are to be used only for cannabis.
Oh.
So that's just an interesting way that they're marketing them. I think many people feel that these are used mainly for cannabis. They're not used for tobacco,
I don't
although
think
they could be,
I
but
don't think I've ever seen anyone.
yeah, I tend to fall on that side of the equation, that these are used for cannabis. However, if they are flavored, they can be considered tobacco flavor enhancers, because you could use them. So what some municipalities are doing is they're banning flavored ones, not straight ones. Just, these are some ideas.
Right, yeah.
You already banned some of these things because the state law does it. So self-service displays, all of those. And then another thing is to look at your fines and think about whether you want your local strategies that aren't in the state law, like blunt wraps or cigar packaging or capping, whether you want a unified fining structure where everything would be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, or whether you want separate fining structures for local violations versus state required violations. And there are some legal issues with that we're working through. The other thing is your suspensions. Do you want the board to have the discretion to determine the suspensions, or do you want it to be mandated that if you find a violation and it's a second violation, there is a mandatory suspension of 7 or 30, or with the selling 7 to 21, it's already mandatory, so you can't do it. You can't change that. So those are some of the strategies that are local. The fact that your regulation is outdated doesn't mean anything when it comes to enforcing state law. You have the obligation actually to enforce the state law. So, there's not a time pressure on any of this. Any regulation that you do update, the better practice obviously would be to marry all of the state provisions into it so that the retailers have them.
Yeah.
Because that's one of Kathleen's major priorities is to do the education and outreach to the retailers.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying too with our with our regular rules and procedures for holding our hearings, was to have, there's a lot of state laws that mandate someone has the right, I think they have 20 days to appeal a condemnation order, and all that stuff is in state law. But like I was saying earlier, I noticed with zoning board of appeals and stuff like that, they kind of marry all that into their local, into their hearing rules, and they just reiterate the same ones that are at the state level.
Well, and that's what we do with tobacco as well.
Yeah.
We've incorporated everything that's in the state law into the local regulations so that it's clear to the retailers.
Yeah, exactly.
So the towns or the municipalities that have passed,
Nicotine-free generation.
yeah, what was the pushback with
Oh,
the
there's a lot of,
establishments
there's a lot of pushback. I should first say that the advocates or the proponents for this policy say that this is a very gradual policy. It will not affect the retailers for at least a decade, if not more. The proponents also say it's much easier to enforce if you talk with retailers in Brookline, because they only have to look at one date. So that's an easier process. The opponents say that you're discriminating against one class of people just based on age, even though the Supreme Judicial Court threw that argument out in Massachusetts and said you have to choose a date. That's, all dates are
It has to
arbitrary,
be there.
but there has to be a date. So that got thrown out by the court. The opponents say this is a choice that adults are making and they should be able to make that choice. They compare it to, we legalize cannabis and allow anyone who's 21 to get it, but if you look at this law, you're not going to be allowing folks that are 21 to purchase tobacco. I find that argument disingenuous, because tobacco is the only consumer product that, when used as directed, kills you. Alcohol, cannabis don't. So I think that's a disingenuous argument. And I also think if you talk to a smoker, the smoker will say that they are addicted. It's not a choice at all. It's an addiction. So I think that argument is baloney, but they make it, and they make it very forcefully. And then it's the whole, the paternalism, who do you think you are telling us what we can or what we should or should not do? And the other one that just fell out of my brain, which was it is the only consumer product that, when used as directed, kills you. If we were talking about lead paint, or we were talking about, what were those drinks, Loco or whatever they were 100 years ago, emergency order, take it right off the shelves. Same thing with lead paint, gone. You can't buy lead paint in a store anymore. But here we are talking about the most dangerous consumer product, and we're saying, well, it's gonna take generations, but let's just treat it this way. Let's let it take generations, even though we know the dangers. So there is very vocal opposition. It's very well organized. We now have seen NATO, which is a national convenience store membership association supported by the tobacco industry. We've seen NASARA, which is a New England gas station and convenience store association that is opposing this. And they're sending letters to not only boards of health, but to select boards, to town managers, to city council, to mayors, very much opposing this policy. They're also opposing any policies on oral nicotine pouches. We are also seeing a group of smokers' rights advocates that started in Cambridge. Steve Helfer is the leader. He has been fighting tobacco laws for the past 25 years, and he is fighting this one, and he has members of his organization that are also coming and testifying at meetings. So it has become a very contentious policy, but people are really interested in it. Boards of health, health directors at the MHOA conference were in the presentation room and were very curious about it and interested in hearing more about it. So that's
Just so these guys know, on average, with the meetings you've been in, about how long does it take? What's a process? You know, like as far as public meetings and.
It varies. I have to be very frank with you. The municipalities that have so far adopted it have been rich and white. And it has not taken a long time. But that's what we're now at a point where we're not going to be looking at just, wealthy white municipalities. We're looking at all over the state. And another thing that is a bit of a challenge is, we're passing it in these wealthy white areas, so are they gonna see positive health outcomes before other areas of the state? That's sometimes how public health works.
Education or anything.
Yeah, so, but we are having, Malden, Medford looked at it. Malden, I believe, is still considering it. I don't believe they passed it yet. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at that.
Right.
But we're at a point now where other municipalities are interested in this, not just the wealthy white ones.
Yeah, and because I know when I was at Rockland, we were a Title I school, like one of the biggest school districts that needed funding at the time, and I think there's certainly there's going to be definitely parts of Massachusetts that will benefit from it, but
And we have drafted a toolkit for NFG, which will have a lot of science-based articles. It'll have a sample template. It will have a snapshot of who's done it and who hasn't, and that should be ready also in about a week. So Kathleen can get that to the board as well.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I have.
Wow. Yeah, no, I appreciate that because I just wanted a chance to I've been seeing, I've been reading between Brookline and I think I mixed up Northampton because like you were saying, they're considering it. Yeah, I saw it on the Western Mass News or whatever, but yeah, and I've seen it across the Commonwealth, and I've been thinking as someone who, I was someone who grew up low income, public housing, and on the South Shore, and I know that if there's something that we can do where there were, in my opinion, when it was targeted, they targeted big tobacco targeted, not just young folks, but specifically minority poor communities. And if that's something that, you know, to finally free our, if not, you know, my brother's generation, like if we can start to free people in my generation, in Gen Z, because like I said, I was born in 2001, but you said that because Brookline adopted theirs in 2020, that would have covered those people, but now we're in 2024, so no.
Yeah.
But if like I said, if we can still, and we talk to, you know, a lot of these retailers and they probably maybe not entirely agree, but I agree, you know, agree that there's, you know, folks in their families who, that they would understand this being, you know, implemented. But yeah, I just wanted to give that opportunity for you guys to come. I really appreciate that. And did you guys have anything else to add before we start your motion?
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm happy to.
And I'll also.
Sorry.
As I say that.
Sorry, you had some.
It's
I
not
know,
your
oh my
fault.
gosh, and then
I
traffic
couldn't
hit you.
leave before 4 because I had another meeting until 4.
Right, okay.
But I thought 2 hours would do it. But
Yeah.
It didn't.
No, you were right on time. Okay, well,
Okay.
and nobody else has anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, just one thing. Mr. Chair. I
Alright.
do, while your counsel is there, I do want to just point out that there is an issue involving communications and texting that's going on. And I know that you're at a training in Taunton last year, is that right? The MAHB training? Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I put up a slide in the open meeting law section, which was a photograph of a text message from the mayor of Framingham to her chief operating officer during a meeting. And
Yeah.
a public record request for her telephone.
Record, yeah.
Okay, so what you, and just so that your council knows, I actually have the slide in front of me, and what it says is, you know, I can't take this because they're assholes, in my opinion. This is the mayor of Framingham talking to her chief operating officer. Some of them about the city council. Some of them, I swear, they are the most disgusting human beings I ever saw. Okay, so my point here is
It's a public record,
that everything that goes on in your phone
can be requested.
the Board of Health is public record. And in order to get it, what you need to know is that they will be coming for your phone. They're going to want to have you bring your phone into the clerk's office, and you might be phoneless for 10 days while your counsel goes through your phone logs looking for stuff. So you have no privacy whatsoever in your phone. And for your own good, just don't, because if someone does a public record request, that nice attorney sitting across from you is going to get to go through all of your text messages.
Okay.
Although I just probably wrecked a great evening for him of laughter and glee, so just be really, really careful, okay?
I typically, wouldn't be anything in there, I don't.
Well, I don't care. I don't care either, but it's just, you're going to be phoneless though for 10 days while he goes through it.
You have to do the search, right?
Right,
So it's
yeah.
like you gotta say you're making reasonable efforts for the
Exactly.
search, which means you
Going
can
through, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like it's a lot of hours. And
Yeah, yeah.
like, you're right. I mean, it might only be finding a couple things, but
Right.
you still have to
Go
do the
yeah.
actual search.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do remember that too, yeah. I just remember it being, public records.
I mean, we're here for you. We're here for you. And believe me, I'm watching out for you when I tell you this.
No, I know, I appreciate it.
Although I could use a new slide, to be honest, if you.
Okay, all right. So, well, then now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's see. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mike, thank you.
Very well.
Good seeing you.
Are you new with Rockland or you been here for a while?
No, yeah, sometimes, but it's not always me. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't recognize.
yeah, sometimes it's weird.
Please don't grab everything she needs signed.
I have, no,
Carol, before you leave, can I bug you on a couple of my accounts?
Yep.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll be in touch when I get that toolkit.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, you
Plus-
said about a week or so?
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
shooting for.